everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. It's Helen Barcelone and Afternoon Tea with Helen again. And again, I have my tea here with me, which I will be drinking through the show. And today I have echinacea tea. And echinacea is very good for your immune system and building up your immune system as well. And I'm noticing that my guest has her cup there as well. And she's got a Hollywood chamber mug there, which I'm hoping has got tea or coffee or wine or something in it. So I'm going to introduce you to my very good friend here that we're going to chat to, Denise. Denise, what have you got in the cup?
I'm actually drinking tea this afternoon.
Okay, perfect. That's what I like. Afternoon tea with Helen. So Denise, tell me, what is it that you are? You're a woman, you're a mother, you're a businesswoman, you're involved in communities, all that sort of stuff. So tell me, you live in Hollywood. Have you always lived in Hollywood?
I moved from Hollywood to go to the University of Miami back in '81, and then lived down in the Grove for many years, and only came back in the last 15 years to raise my son closer to my parents.
So you're a native of Florida?
I've been here since 1977, which in some cases would warrant being a native, but not quite.
Well, it's sunny Florida most of the time, except in the rainy season.
Yes,
very soon, and we've been in that realm all week, the rainy season. So Denise, you're a mom, okay? So you've got an 18-year-old son, and so tell me a little about being a mom, being a businesswoman. You know, the whole thing. How do you manage? How do you balance all of it?
Wow. Well, that's a lot. It's interesting because I do define myself first and foremost as a mother. So you hit that nail right on the head. Having had my son all to myself since he was 2, with the unfortunate loss of his father when he was a baby, we've become very close. And so, you know, they say mothers and sons, which is a great thing, but I would not have traded any minute with my son for anything in the world. He and I are very close. He's getting ready to graduate on Friday, so that's exciting.
Nice.
And I was fortunate in some ways to be able to come back and live near my parents when I lost my husband. So it's been kind of, you know, it takes a village. So my mom and my dad are also very close to Antonio, my son. And he's grown to be a very fine young man. He's got his father's intellect, which is a blessing because thank God he didn't get mine.
You do yourself an injustice. You were a single mom for a lot of years, and you worked at that time as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And what were you working in? What sort of career did you have?
Well, I started when I graduated from the University of Miami in 1985. I started in the advertising field completely by accident. I needed 2 credits to graduate, and I went to the local newspaper nearby and said, please, I'll write a story if you'll, because my minor was journalism, I'll write a story if you'll give me the credits. And that was a month before my graduation in May of '85, and they said to me, you know, you've got something for sales, you're great with people, why don't you consider working here and selling advertising for us? And so that was 35 years ago, April. So it was very exciting. There was a hiatus in between for a little while. Obviously, I had to raise my son for a number of years, and I was fortunate enough to be able to live on, you know, life insurance, whatever, for a couple of years. But advertising just became such a great part of my life. I loved the newspaper advertising. I loved the print. I would sit in the back of the office. We had one of the first Goss Web printing presses in the state of Florida, one of the original Goss Web presses. And I would sit in the back of the building listening to those presses run, and I could just feel it. I used to kid around with my friends and say I have ink in my blood. I loved the newspaper business. Yeah. And of course,
I was going to say,
I'm sorry?
You love the print. So what is it? Because today we're such a digital age, okay? And,
Correct.
you know, some of the younger generations haven't even picked up anything that they read. They read everything.
No, it's very true.
How are you managing your love for what you do and selling your ads in a print age, competing against a digital age?
Great question, Helen. Well, here's the thing. I left the newspaper business back many years ago when I came up here back to Hollywood area to be near my parents. And it's such a bizarre set of circumstances, and I always say God has my back, but he had a magazine publisher call me out of the blue, and he had heard about my history and knew that I was, really good at what I did, and called me up and asked if I would be interested in getting involved with magazines here. And I said, well, it's still print, and I know advertising. I love to sell it. And so I started with magazines here as opposed to newspapers, which was very fortuitous because obviously newspapers, I think, have gone a little farther the way of the dinosaur than magazines have. I think people still like to be with a magazine in their house, tactile, have the pictures and the colors and and so the other side of that coin, the other part of the blessing is that the magazine that I rep here we have 7 magazines. I'll give myself a shameless plug. Our City Media. My magazines cater to a slightly older market. So it's a more mature market. It's people who are more established already, people with a disposable income. And those people, kind of your and my generation, still like that as my aforementioned tactile print magazine in the home. It's not all about the electronics. That's why most of us have kids, so that they can handle the electronics for us.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, tell me, especially the younger they are, the better they are.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. So, so it's still vital. It's still, like, for just perfect example, I was out yesterday and people were like, I want to get in the June issue. I want to get in. And I'm like, well, we already did June. It's the end of May, but we can certainly put you in the July issue. And the magazines have flourished. Obviously, if you have somebody with the kind of zeal I have for what I do, I'm crazy. I'll never stop. I'm out there. I hit the ground running first thing in the morning, and I don't stop till I drop. But so that helps it. But you have to have, obviously, the good component of editorial. So we have our editors make it a community news magazine. So yeah, you're not going to get what just happened 5 minutes ago in my magazine, but you're going to get what's going on in the community, schools, events. Like, for example, without naming names, a Montessori school in Hollywood had the magnanimous idea to help children of what we're calling our first responders, the medical professional people that have to work and have no place for their children in this last 7-8 weeks of COVID. And so they opened their doors to those students. And we had the opportunity to get that press release in right before we went to press. So that's the kind of community news that goes into the magazine. So to answer your question tangentially, I love what I do, and I'm fortunate that I can still have a little magazine group here. I say little, but we have 140 circulation in Broward, so it's not really little, but in Hollywood it's just 20,000 as it is in each of the indigenous areas.
But your enthusiasm comes across, and I think when you love what you do and you're enthusiastic about what it is that you're involved in, I think people then like and trust that person a lot more. And I think being enthusiastic about something means that you really believe in it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So
that's why you're so good. That's why you're so amazing at what you do, because you're enthusiastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
How much you love it.
So your magazine is a community, and I know that you like community. So I know that also you're involved in some community projects and things like that. So what helps you give back to the community?
Oh Lord, I have been so incredibly blessed. It's everything I set my hand to prospers. It's well, first of all, I found Rotary a number of years ago, close to 20, I want to say 25 years ago, and Rotary is service above self. It's an organization that's our main goal is to help others locally, nationally, and internationally. So whenever I get involved in a Rotary project, I go just full on. I mean, it's like 150%. And we do so much to help people, elderly, children, golly, veterans. I can't even think. There's so much. In fact, Rotary was solely responsible in the 50s for eradicating polio. So that's kind of a big deal.
Yes. I was a member of Rotary as well. And it's an amazing, I was in Rotary in London because obviously it's international. So
I think I remember you saying that. Yeah.
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 It's a great organization, and they do a lot for a lot of people. So the Rotary, you get involved in the community. You're involved in your magazine with enthusiasm. You're involved with your son with enthusiasm. What do you do in your spare time? What do you do for leisure?
Well, I'm also involved in the Sheridan House Ministries here in Davie. out west in Davie. Sheridan House was an integral part of my recovery when I lost my husband, because they had a single parents ministry, a single moms specifically ministry, where you could go and you could get counseling. And then my son when he was about 3, he started asking me questions about his father. So I needed to find a place where we could both go and be embraced and everything. And this is 15 years ago, and I've managed to stay a part of that. It's a women's ministry. And we go there, we study, we do, when I say we, I'm not as active as I am with Rotary, but I do help. I support it financially, and I attend all the events. I don't help in the setup process and everything like I do with Rotary, but they have all kinds of events to raise money, and then they have 6 houses on campus for single moms and children that are in distress or need help and such. So that's another part of what I do and what I am. I do that every Wednesday, and that's 8 months out of the year. And then I'm also active at my church, which is just really Sundays. I don't volunteer or anything there, but one of the things when you said my son, I'm active, or I'm excited about my son, I laughed because when he started school, he went to a Montessori school from pre-K to 8th grade. And I joined the PTA, or PTO as it were. And I was sitting there one day, and I must have been fidgeting or something, or not paying attention. You know me, I don't sit still very well. And they said something about the yearbook. And apparently it's like, you get picked for something when you're absent. Well, apparently I got picked to get on the yearbook staff. I wound up doing the yearbook there for 8 years. And so I had to get involved with every single facet of that school, from kindergarten to the graduating classes every year, and do the pictures.
Wow.
Back then we would take pictures, have them produced at Eckerd back then, cut the pictures, glue and paste them on big sheets of paper, and then send them to a printer. Imagine.
Wow. Yeah, things have changed. Yeah, a lot now.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so that was exciting.
You didn't answer my question. What do you do for you? What do you do?
Oh, in my spare time?
Yes.
Oh, golly, what is spare time? Okay.
Yeah,
I guess the beach. My spare time is generally, if I don't have an event on Saturdays, my spare time is the beach. If I wake up, I tell you the truth, I would go to sleep in my bathing suit on Friday night if I know Saturday is going to be nice enough.
Wow. Yeah, I like the beach as well.
Yeah, I'm just a beach lover. I'll go out first thing in the morning, set my chair down, lay out for an hour or two, and then just walk around, spend money at all the restaurants, sit at the bar at Margaritaville, just hang out, watch a game if the games are on, and then, come back and have my son and my fiance. Neither of which like the beach. Neither of which like the beach. Can you believe that? My son and Will do not go to the beach with me.
Wow, I can't believe that. And we have such a beautiful beach here in Hollywood, Florida. That's
in the world,
which is amazing. I love it so much. I was there this morning actually, and I had breakfast there at one of our friends' restaurants there this morning. So that was pretty cool. So
isn't that nice that everything's open on the beach again?
Oh, it is. If you were to give your younger self a nugget, a tidbit, something that you would want to impart that you know now that you didn't know then, what would it be?
That I did not know then. Because, I was very smart as a child. Just kidding. I was going to say to start saving, but I was one of those people that started putting away at like 11, let's see. Oh, golly, what would I tell my younger self? Isn't this bizarre?
Okay, you got an 18-year-old. What do you advise your 18-year-old to do to move forward in society and life?
So I'm always telling my son to get things done ahead of time. Get your stuff done before it needs to be done. Always be prepared. Always prepare. For example, today he has 2 assignments that he has to get done by Friday, and today he wanted to go up to Cape Canaveral and watch the whatever's blasting off today. I said to him, now, you didn't finish those 2 assignments, but I let him go because I know that I would want to be able to go do that when I was his age. I said, okay, but wouldn't it be nice to know that those were already done ahead of time? So, because I'm a big proponent of preparedness. I'm always telling him, be prepared, be prepared.
Right.
So I guess that would be something that, maybe I could have been better at if I'd have told my younger self to do,
To be prepared, yeah. So what motivates you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? Because I realize you have nothing to do all day. So what motivates you to get out and do all your busyness? do that?
You know, that's a good question. I don't want to say that it's money, but I am going to say this. I have always worked for myself. I'm not employed by anyone. I have my own corporation. I did a subchapter S when I was 25. So if I don't sell, I don't eat. And my son hasn't been in private school since preschool. So it costs a lot. But I have always been the type, I put the carrot in front of myself. I always want to beat my last month's sales. I always want to be the top of the class and with the, you know, I don't want to say better than the saleswomen that I work with because they're amazing, but I like my numbers to reflect that I'm really motivated. So I set my schedule the night before. When I wake up in the morning, I know right where I have to be, the first place I have to be, and I hit the ground running. Of course, after I say my prayers, every morning I spend some serious prayer time because being out there and being in sales, you know, all day long, and there's days where you get nothing but no, and you can't get, you know, unmotivated. So I guess what really motivates me is I torture myself with goals. I am always constantly saying, you know, you didn't do as well as you did last month, and to me that's like a personal failure, you know. But so it sounds like it's money, but it's really not. It's more like self-gratification.
No, it's benchmarks, and
Yeah.
you shouldn't say things like torture myself. You should change your mindset to this benchmark. I'm going to, you know, move that benchmark. I'm going to do better than that, what I did
Right.
last. And that's my outcome. That's my moving forward. That's my carrot. Instead of, you know, I torture myself to do this.
Right.
You know?
You're right. Yeah.
Because
exactly.
you've got the enthusiasm, you've got the energy, you've got the right attitude. So now you want to use the right words. And I'm sure that when you're praying, you're using all the right words then. Because
just pray from the heart.
Right. Okay. So when you talk to yourself, use the right words for that as well, you know.
Okay, if I were to put this in, let's see, editable words, I would use a different sentence. So I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to say it as politely as I can. You really have to exude confidence. I have been in rooms where when I used to do when I was with the newspaper, I used to do a NASCAR program, and I'd have to go down to the track, and it was all men. I mean, all men. And I would meet with companies like Toyota who would sponsor it, and I'd have to go into a room and sit around a table with 15 guys and walk in and propose my idea to print this little newspaper that was going to show the, you know, the NASCAR race in downtown in Homestead. And I would walk in and I would just muster up all the confidence I could, and I would constantly tell myself, it doesn't matter that you're the only girl in the room, because back then I was just a girl. I really was 25. It doesn't matter. This is not about my gender. This is about what I have in here and how I can put it out there through my words. And so I would walk in with my shoulders back, and I would stand firm, and I would act like I owned the room. And I tell my son that too. And my son is very confident. And one of the things about being a girl is sometimes if you go into a room and you're not confident, they think you're cocky. But if you can back it up with knowledge and, you know, a valuable presentation and something that's gonna make the situation better, hopefully, that confidence comes through. And at some point, it doesn't even matter that you're the girl in the room or you're a girl or a woman in the business. And I also find, and you know this about me, I also find that a sense of humor breaks the ice. And so I can walk into a room sometimes and I'll find the one guy that I think I can just kind of crack a joke with. Or sometimes it's a woman, and a way more powerful woman than I am, and I'll just say something that just lightens the mood, and it just brings everybody to some comfort level, and then I feel more confident. So it doesn't even matter anymore that I'm a woman. So I would say confidence is really the best thing you can have.
Absolutely. And having confidence these days is an art form, and some people are born with it and other people have to learn it. So you work with our city media.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And so what we're going to do is Denise's details will be underneath her website will be there. You can go see the magazine. If you want to subscribe to the magazine, I'm sure you can. And obviously, if you live in and around the South Florida area, I'm sure she'll accept any advertising that you want to put in that magazine. So her details will be there. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the channel as well. Also, put some comments. We like to hear your comments. We like to get some feedback. And if there's anyone in particular that you want me to contact to interview, then please let me know that as well. So signing off, Helen Vella Barcelone. Thank you so much, Denise, for all your empowering, inspiring,
Thank you.
and that beautiful energy that you have. And Afternoon Tea with Helen will be back soon. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and please subscribe.